Hello, yogis and fitness lovers. The segment that you're about to watch is all about caring for your back. For decades, I've been teaching some of these exercises. Most of them are for just loosening up, a little bit of mobility, a little bit of stability, nothing very fancy, but I have found them to be very effective and tried and true. And so I thought I'd share them with you, give them a try, see how they feel. A word of caution, listen to your body. If you're having trouble moving around because of a back injury, some of these exercises might not be appropriate for you. So always make sure that if you are injured that you consult with a medical professional before doing any kind of exercise program. And then for the rest of you, as you're going through this, do the movements in kind of an exploratory way where the idea is that less is more. So do a little bit less, see how it feels, and then you can always add in intensity later on. Okay, so we're going to start right away lying on our backs in Ardha Shavasana, half corpse pose, which is our foundational posture for all floor exercises. So let's just spend a few moments fine-tuning this. Try to take as points of anatomical reference the center point of the front of your ankle, the front of your knee, and your bony hip joint, the hip articulation, where the thigh bone meets the hip bone. So the femur, head of the femur into the hip socket. And line those up so that the front of the ankle, the knee, and the hip joint are lined up. So not fleshy hips, but bony hips. And just notice how that feels. And then bring your attention to your feet. Maybe just wiggle your toes a little bit, lift them up, stretch them apart, place them back down, and try to be evenly placed on your feet. So there's just as much weight on the front of your foot as at the back, just as much on the inside as the outside. Arches lifted, and let yourself drop down into that support. And then notice how you're feeling in your hips and in your buttocks. So do you need to even that out a little bit? Wiggle around if you need to do that. Notice how your shoulders are connecting with the mat underneath you. I like to think of the scapula or the shoulder blades as pizza slices. So just think of them laying down flat onto your mat. Come into external rotation by turning your palms upwards toward the ceiling, and then notice how you feel in the upper part of your arm, into your elbows, your forearms, the back of your wrist, the back of your hands. Maybe stretch out the fingers, see if you can connect all 10 fingers and nails with the floor. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, just kind of notice. And then also notice where your head is connecting with the mat. So try not to have your chin jutting up or drawing in too much. Think instead of being very neutral in the neck and head. And the best way to think of this is to have your main point of contact of your head be directly in line with your eye sockets. Okay, so that's a really nice foundational pose. Come to awareness of your breath, practicing inhaling and exhaling only through the nose. Slow it down and deepen it a little bit. And then we'll begin. So for the first exercise, bend the knee in, take one leg, and as you exhale, contract your abdominals, do a little mini crunch, joining the upper body to the lower body a little closer. Inhale, unfold and come back down. Exhale, release the leg, and let's go right away to the other side. Inhale, draw the leg in. Exhale, round up. You'll notice I'm not going all that far. Inhale, come back down. And exhale, release that leg. So I would recommend that you do this 5 to 10 times per side. We'll just do a few here. And then gradually see if you can increase the intensity of it, but still staying connected to your breath. And still working within the parameters of comfort, not in any type of discomfort or pain. So move very slowly with full awareness. Oh, that's a beautiful stretch. We'll do it one more time each side, but as I mentioned, I would recommend that you do it 5 to 10 times each side. Inhaling, exhaling, releasing down, lowering the leg. One more time on the second side. Inhale and round up. Come back down as you inhale. Exhale, release. Now go ahead and lengthen one leg. Point the foot, coming into plantar flexion of the ankle. And then from here, you're going to rise that leg up very slowly, keeping the legs straight. So you may not go as high as I am, and you might have to stop here. But do that for 5. And then come into dorsiflexion, pushing the heel up towards the ceiling or away from your hip. And then slowly lower down, connecting with your core muscles. So just make sure that they're waking up for you. And just before you touch your calf to the floor, point again, lengthen that leg away, rise up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and flex, lower, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just before the calf touches, I point again. So we're only going to do 3 on each side, but I would recommend that you do 5 to 10. All right, so this time, go ahead and lower the leg completely. Just let that relax for a moment. Take a breath or two here. And then switch legs. All right, let's try the other side. And point, rise up. 2, 3, 4, 5, and flex. So no matter how many times I do this over the course of many decades now, my left side just isn't quite as supple and flexible as my right. And I used to suffer from a lot of back pain, and a lot of it was on my left side. So I found that very interesting, that observation, that maybe some of my back pain was somehow related to a little bit of tightness in my left hip and my left hamstring. All right. Here we go. And after your 5 to 10 reps, bring that back in. Bring your feet in a little bit closer, still keeping them lined up with the ankle, the knee, and the hips in one line, so that maybe you might be able to touch your fingertips to your heels. Lay your hands down by your sides, making a framework, stretching out your arms, laying the arms down, laying your shoulder blades down. And we're going to come into a very slow bridge pose. As we inhale, we're going to rise the hips like a floating balloon up, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stabilize and hold there as you exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now slowly lower for 5, 1 vertebra at a time. So ladies, an easy way to think about this is to lower your bra strap first and then go progressively down. And then from here, as you release, take another breath and fully relax the buttocks and the hips underneath you. Exhale. You could even exhale through the mouth if you like. Let's try that again. Inhale, rising up. Again, this you can do 5 to 10 times. Floating up. And hold. Keep focusing on your breath. Exhale, inhale, slowly come down, sorry. And then when you get to the bottom, just rest for a moment And conjure up the picture of pancakes hitting a griddle and how the batter just disperses onto the griddle and it's very sort of liquid and releasing and relaxed. Think of your buttocks and your hips in that way. So go ahead, inhale. Now take a deep breath, long breath out, and think of your buttocks, your hips, and everything just melting on a griddle like pancake batter. Good. And I'll do it one more time. Inhale, coming up. And then slowly hold there with your breath, and then slowly roll down. After your next inhale, oh, feel everything just loosening up and relaxing. So go ahead, turn onto one side, and we'll come up to tabletop, or all fours. If you have sensitive knees, maybe place a little bit of extra padding, a blanket or a towel underneath your lower legs. And from here, most of you who have a regular yoga practice will be very familiar with this. We'll go simply into cat-cows. And again, do it in a way that's exploratory, where less is more, and where you progressively can for yourself determine what range of motion feels best for you and takes you away from back pain. Exhale. So when we arch the back on the inhale, that's called spinal extension. And then spinal flexion is when we curve and round. Come back to neutral again. You can do that 5 to 10 times. And from here, come to a gentle child pose. And what I would recommend is you keep your hips up high and just reach forward. So you don't want to go into too deep of a forward bend. You just want to lengthen your side body, pushing your hips up and back. If you're having trouble putting your head to the mat, you could always use a block to give you a little bit of lift so you wouldn't be stretching quite as far. You could try that. Okay. Let's try one more. One more for the lower back, and then I'll give you one for the neck as well. So from here, back to Ardha Shavasana with 1 or 2 blocks at your side. If you don't have blocks, then you could wrap a hard-covered book in a towel, and that would work just as well. So every block is like 3 blocks in one. Here's the baby height, the mama height, and the papa height. Stick for the purposes of taking care of your back when it's sore and tired to the baby block or the mama block. This block is possible to do for advanced yogis, but even they should not be practicing this if they are in a time when their back is giving them notice. All right, so you could take 2 blocks at the lowest level, come into your bridge pose, and just take the blocks underneath all of your buttocks from the sacrum down. So you don't want to be lying on your vertebra, and just rest here. And you could rest here for a very long time, 5, 10, 15 minutes, focusing on your breath. Put on some soft music. Just let yourself relax with that. Another thing that's kind of nice to do is just to let the legs float up as if you were lying with your legs up the wall. So that's a wonderful practice. And if you decide that you want to do it up a little bit higher, take only one block at the mama height. Connect with your sacrum, which is right here. Here's my lumbar spine. It's below the lumbar spine and above the tailbone, so right above my bum here. So come back to Ardha Shavasana, lift up into bridge, lift a little bit higher, slide that block underneath so that it is supporting your sacrum. It is not touching my lower spine. Let your buttocks spill over the front of the block. And this would be another way to do it, which would expand and open up the front body just a little bit more because you're coming into a little bit more of a back bend here, a back extension. If you choose to bring your legs up here, the first time you do it, really any time you do it, just make sure that the block is secure underneath you, because if it's on an angle and you lift your legs, it's going to fall down and you might just hurt your back again. So make sure that it's very secure. So this is just an option. I'm not saying it's right for everybody. Lift your legs up, let them float, relax, so not completely straight or tight, just very loose and relaxed. And so this is also an inversion or a back bend as well. And the interesting thing about inversions is that sometimes they can help us develop and garner new perspective on things. So if you're going through something in your life that deserves a new perspective, maybe try this. Just see what happens. Slowly lower down. Bring your feet down. Gently remove that block. Come back into Ardha Shavasana. We'll do one more thing with the block. So bring your feet a little bit closer together. Slide your hips about half an inch or an inch over towards your left. With the knees bent, let them drop to the right side. Now I'm not going for a maximum stretch or a maximum twist. It's more restorative. So I'm going to use the block at an angle like this. You can use it flat, but I really like using it at an angle. Arms wide if possible. And then if possible, just let my head and vision drift to the other side. Focusing on how the breath is traveling through my entire torso, throughout my entire body, in fact. Stay there for as long as you like, 5 breaths, 10 breaths, 5 minutes, whatever works for you. Come back and then make sure that you do the other side. There you go. All right, so that's just a little mini back sequence. And I'll offer you a beautiful neck stretch as well that can be done seated, kneeling, standing, sitting, whatever you are. Bring up one arm, so I'm lifting my right arm, which would be your left arm if we're mirroring each other. Take your hand across to the other side and lie down on that side. You'll feel that a lengthening is happening here between your ear and your shoulder. Drop your shoulder away from that without forcing it. Stay there for 5 to 10 breaths. And then from there, slowly turn your focus downwards towards your armpit, your hip, and the floor. For 5 to 10 breaths. Gently come out, and then we'll shortly do the other side. Same thing. So this is an excellent thing to do anywhere, anytime, if you have tightness in your neck and a little bit in the upper back here because you've been spending a lot of time on a computer screen or on your iPhone or maybe doing chores around the house or driving for long distances. This can really relax things. So there you have it. There's a few simple ideas to take care of your back. Try them out Let me know how it goes. Namaste.